after 2 minutes, it will take 30 minutes of question and answer time. For national professionals. When the rear, more questions. The out lecture, but I need to be able to recognize if you have a question. Hands is probably not going to work the best for me from that standpoint. One question for each attempt to ask a question. So the expectation is you will ask your question, and then you will return to the rear of the line to allow other people to ask their questions. I respectfully ask that your questions not be multi-part questions. Ask a good question that's relatively direct, but basically don't try to fit 5 questions in one question. Respectfully appreciate that. I will be monitoring and/or enforcing rules of the forum. So my expectation when you're in your questions of the candidates is that you're respectful to them. You don't attempt to badger them. You don't attempt to give any shade or any kind of disrepute to someone as you ask questions. And likewise, in responses by the candidates, my expectation is their responses will be just as respectful. And so I'll be monitoring for that and making sure that we maintain decorum as a part of this affair. And with that, those are the basic ground rules. I'll be the presiding officer, so to speak, as the national speaker for the House of Delegates. Again, welcoming the candidates to give 2-minute speeches, followed by monitoring the time. That's the last point I want to make, which is I will be monitoring the time. I will also set a point at which questions will end. And no one will be accepted at once, essentially ending the speakers list, so to speak. And that's just to try to keep us on time versus the time we've got scheduled for this. Delegates do have the power in the session as an official delegates meeting to make motions to augment our schedule. So I want them to understand and recognize that they had that authority to do so. So if you don't feel confident that we've questioned candidates enough, then use your position to make what's needed happen. All right, those are the ground rules we're going to follow today. And as previously stated with respect to the agenda relative to the question and answer period, we're going to start with the position of National Professionals Publicist. And we have one candidate for that position. She is from Region 1, Renee Robinson. I invite her to come up to the dais and make her opening statement. We'll start questions thereafter.
So, good afternoon, everybody. As stated, my name is Renee Robinson. I have from some of the green, but this is a national role, so all the colors are represented, right? But anyway, again, my name is Renee Robinson. I'm seeking your vote to run for National Professional Publicist. And if so elected, I'd like to be able to enhance our communication. Because that's one of the things that I think is lacking. Like, we have amazing programs, we have amazing events, but sometimes people don't know about it because we don't we don't publicize it as much as we should. So if there's an event, like in our regional meeting today, one of our members said, if it's not on my calendar 10 days in advance, don't expect me to show up. So 10 days, I think that's really, really short. We should be publicizing things and telling our membership about what we have to offer. You know, if something's happening in March, something's happening in April, we should have been advertising that in February, trying to get people to know about it and get the support. Really using our list of information, our list of members, getting that information out. And communication is it's so important to impart that. But also communication is a two-way street, right? It's a contract between the sender, say the publicist and something out, and the receiver. So if the receiver hasn't received the information, then communication hasn't happened. So it's really, really important for whoever's sending out that information to figure out how to get feedback, to get a fast feedback loop. If something got sent out in the newsletter and no one can open it, not just on the other hand, looking at the open rate, wondering why it's so low, doing that data analysis on like how are we really reaching people. So doing Google Analytics, 20 seconds. Well, anyway, I have 20 seconds, but I really have a lot of ideas on how we can enhance our communication for NSBE from national on down to collegiate levels, and just creating a toolkit and just, and I hate that word toolkit, but just really, really using our communication. That's my time.
Okay. Opening the floor for questions for 10 minutes. And we'll start with the delegate from Atlanta.
Good afternoon. My name is Catherine Johnson. I'm the chair and the delegate for the National Society of Black Engineers Atlanta Professionals Chapter. I'd like to hear about your opportunities to have paid advertising for our publications budget.
So paid advertising. I like paid advertising is something that we can do. SEC things and get things at the top of the list and do all kinds of things like that. But I'd like to impart the idea of having branding messages. So NSBE is a brand, right? So we have people who are in our events say, you know what? You want to come to convention? You have a little contract for you. You create a story, highlight something in Atlanta, you do 10 posts in a year, maybe we'll send you to convention on that. So we have to look at their following, people they have, what their reach is, things like that. Finding things that are economical, because we're non-profit, right? So I'm not against paid, but I want to be able to see how we can maximize all of the resources out there. So, did I answer your question?
Yes. Thank you.
Delegate from San Diego.
Quick question for Eric. Am I allowed to record?
You can record the answer, but again, the other rules of the form.
Okay. All right. So my question for you is, what means will you utilize to send chapter events in articles?
What media?
Yes.
So we have listserv, so we use Sway currently. So a newsletter will be sent. We also follow up with LinkedIn. We also follow up with Facebook and Instagram. We do have a Twitter account. From what I've seen in the statistics, it's not as widely used. So people are doing TikTok. I'm not sure where we stand as an NSBE ecosystem on TikTok, but anything that we can get out to the membership, we're going to use all of those medias. Did I answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Carter.
Good afternoon, Carrie Jordan from the Central Florida Professionals. I was wondering if you thought about your role as it relates to the membership team and what role you play in bringing in more awareness about the activities as relates to membership. Have you thought about that?
Yes, so membership encompasses half of our campaigns. It's crucial because that's who we are. Without our members, there is no NSBE. And then members that we haven't reached, like doing some data mining on LinkedIn, who has NSBE listed in their profile? How do we get those people engaged again in NSBE? Doing things like that, having targeted meetings. I'm in several different organizations, and one of the organizations I'm in, we call it reclaiming our members. So we have targeted things, and I'd love for NSBE to engage in that. And so that would be a partnership with the membership chair and the membership committee and the publicist on how to reach those people. And I also think that we should do something with the members at large, because there's so many people just paying their national dues, not connected to a local chapter. So if we can reach those folks, and sometimes they're not connected to a chapter because it's so far for them. So if we can have an idea of a super chapter that has cohorts, like my home chapter is Boston Professionals, but we have people at Worcester, we have people at Springfield, which is 2 hours and an hour away. So going to an event at 6:30 after work is kind of challenging. But if we had a super chapter, like Chicago, like Boston, like any of these other larger chapters, and they had cohorts or meetups for people who are the outskirts, we'll be able to reach them too. But again, that would take a collaboration between the publicist and the membership team. Did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Recognize the delegate from Northeast Ohio for a question. Come forward.
Hello, good afternoon. Deanna Davis, Northeast Ohio Professionals President. My question is, how do you plan to reach our collegiate students who will be graduating and identifying that their first year of professional school?
Okay, so when I was chair for Region 1, we had a whole campaign on letting the students know, letting the collegiates know that their first year was free. And so I think that NSBE has continued that, but we definitely can strengthen that by getting the listservs to the graduating seniors and letting them know. And at FRC, every single FRC should have a plug. And again, when I was program chair over our graduating seniors reception for FRC in Boston, we made sure that they were informed. And I think that that is a continuing thing. But again, we'll use social media, maybe we'll find a brand ambassador that is a collegiate, that will spread the word for us. But any opportunity that we can promote all of the benefits of being an NSBE member, we will try to utilize. Thank you. Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
All right, we have 3 minutes and 45 seconds, and no one on the speakers list for a question. Does anyone have a question for our candidate for publicist? Recognize the professional share for a question.
Sure. Hey, Renee, I'll ask a question here. Hey, following on a previous question I was mentioning about giving the word to our students. Let's take a little higher. How do you expect to incorporate our WHQ staff with the promotion of NSBE professionals? Mainly, my question becomes: we have a NSBE account, but we don't have a professionals account. How do you feel about the reconciliation of those, or the sharing of assets between those two sites? How do we, really globalize our presence there?
So sort of like LinkedIn, well, not LinkedIn, but Facebook and Instagram, you can post in one area, and then there's an automatic post to your, say I post on Instagram as a post. I can get that automatically sent to Facebook. If we can figure it, we're all engineers. I'm sure there is a plugin that will make it easy to repost information from the NSBE professionals and make sure it gets put on the NSBE org site. And it's going to take some finagling, and we have a whole WHQ technology team that we've tapped into. And then we have the WHQ Eric, I can't remember what his title is,
Oh,
the publications person. We work with him as well. So there are avenues and there are possibilities. And like questions like this, that's something I didn't think of. So that's an opportunity to do that. So I don't have the exact answer on how to do it, but I have the questions and I will noodle on that and see and use our resources so we can make it easier. Does that answer your question?
yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you, sir.
1 minute, 30 seconds left, and no one in line for a question. I'm gonna take personal liberty as the presiding officer to ask you a question to wrap things up. And my question is, I'd like you to tell us what you think the elements of Game Change 2025 are most important for us to highlight to engage members. And, well, I'm not gonna do that. I was gonna piggyback there. Tell me a few things that you know about Game Change 25 that you think are crucial for our members to be aware of and need to publicize to them.
Okay, so Game Change 2025, the whole thing is ready, set, go, right? So we need to make sure that our young folks, K through 12, are ready by putting the tools in their hands, giving them the education, and having them come to convention. There is, Gwen, I don't know if anybody knows Gwen Brantley. I think she's brought 35 students to this conference. And a couple of years ago, when it was snowing, she was on a bus, and the bus broke down, but she got them there. So we need to be ready with our young folks, introducing STEM to them, making sure that they understand what this is all about, how to become an engineer. And second is for the collegiate students. So we need to make sure that they're entering these, after they graduate high school, entering these engineering fields and know that it can be done. Because engineering is hard. It is hard. I remember crying through my analysis of algorithm class, and I was in my professor's office hours all the time, and I wanted to quit, but I made it through. So collegiates can make it through. And the next one is go for professionals, and we want to graduate 10,000 students annually by 2025.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
To my satisfaction.
Thank you.
All right, let's give it up for our. All right, the next position for which we'll have a candidate come to the dais is the position of National Professional Membership Chairperson. So Jonathan Tyler, you will come to the stage and give your 2-minute candidate statement.
All right, good afternoon, NSBE. As Eric said, my name is Jonathan Tyler, and I'm seeking your vote for the position of National Professional Membership Chair. Now, the name said it earlier, the dollar numbers in NSBE is nothing. Our members are our most valuable asset. And I believe it's important to do all we can to make sure that our members are having the best experience possible, and that our chapters are equipped to be able to cater to our members' needs. Now, I've been a regional chair for the past 2 years, so I've seen firsthand the challenges that our chapters have been facing, trying to recruit and retain members, and the challenges we've had to be able to provide membership data to our chapter leaders. So if I'm elected, my #1 priority would be to address those issues with our membership data to make sure that we can give the most accurate and reliable information to our chapter leaders as possible, and to present it in a way that's easy to digest. And I want to make sure that the membership experience is as seamless as possible. It should be super easy to find out as a member. It should be easy to review your membership. If we make the experience as easy as possible, a member is more likely to stay and renew their membership. And lastly, I want to make sure that we're supporting our chapters to making sure they have the tools they need to develop their own strategies for recruitment and retention. If there's a chapter out there that has found success with a particular strategy, I want to be able to share that information with all the chapters, read that across. Because, we're one NSBE, we should be our silos where Region 1 is doing its thing, Region 5 is doing its thing. We should be able to share that information with each other so we can all be better. Thank you.
Now, open the floor for questions, and the 10-minute question period begins. Carrie, I'm sorry, I get it right.
Good morning, everyone. Carrie Jordan, Central Florida Professional. I love your platform. It's very straightforward. I was wondering what you think the challenges are with technology of the various, whether it's the website, the databases that we use to house membership information. Can you speak a little bit about those challenges and what you can do to see your goals accomplished, knowing that there are challenges on the technology side?
Yeah, sure. So as many of you may be aware, NSBE has gone through a change in its back-end membership system. We switched to a system called Fontiva, and during the switch, there was some, lack of a better term, some data corruption, where some of our members, we didn't know what chapters they belonged to or what regions they belonged to. Something was lost in translation and all the data was transferred over. So that's something that in the membership zone we've been struggling with over the past year or so, trying to reconcile that data to make sure that the information we have is accurate. And also, some of our internal databases that we use to collect information, such as the chip reports, we've gone through some changes there as well. So we were using smart sheets, but then we ended our contract with smart sheets, so then we had to switch to job form, and there have been some growing pains with that. Had been a little confusing for our chapter leaders, having all these different forms that we've asked them to fill out. So, I probably need to work with WHQ to make sure that we settle on one solution that works for everybody, and make sure we communicate that to the chapter leaders to make sure they understand what it is that we're using and how to use it. Because, we're relying on them to provide a lot of this data, and if it's not easy, they're not going to do it. So does that answer your question?
Thank you.
All right, recognize the delegate from Washington, D.C.
Good afternoon. My question for you is, with the last 3 years, with the pandemic, a lot of difficulty obtaining members, finding new membership. So what are we doing, or what can we do on a national level to provide more support to engage people, stay involved, give chapters and resources to maintain group members not following the system, especially when it comes to those chapters who are in non-major cities, where of us are pipeline to choose from in terms of membership. What can we do on a national level to support those chapters in those membership endeavors?
Yeah, well, like I mentioned before, one of the things we can do is, find out where the success stories have been, make sure we communicate that information to our other chapters. And because, some chapters out there haven't had success, and we're just not necessarily spreading that information. And another thing that I'd like to do, something that we've done in Region 4, is we started a sister chapter program where a chapter that's a little bit stronger, on a good footing, is paired up with a smaller chapter, or a chapter that's, trying to reach harder, to kind of show them the ropes, give them the basics on what they need to do to get up and running, give them strategies on how they can get better. So it worked pretty well in Region 4, so no reason we can't expand that nationally. And, and it also fosters that inter-chapter connection. We mean, a lot of chapters do have good ideas, but if there's no venue to have that communication, you know, the information might not get there. So I'd like to facilitate that venue so that chapters can, you know, share that information with each other. And finally, you know, we should be working with the employee resource groups that, you know, the corporations that we partner with. Because there's a lot of potential members there that may not even know that they exist. If we can get into those ERGs where, you know, people already are active and engaged, we can, you know, use that as a recruitment platform to get more people in this group.
Recognizing the delegate from San Diego.
All right, my question is, what strategies and ideas would you propose for chapters to gain members from graduating seniors at local universities and retain the current membership?
Right. So obviously it's important for chapters that are here at the university to, you know, work with their collegiate counterparts to establish that relationship. Obviously I'm most familiar with Region 4, but I've seen that work with, you know, the collegiate chapter has a strong board, you know, making that relationship with the chapter president, you know, letting them know we're here and, you know, doing programming with them. So, you know, the professionals are visible, the students can see that, you know, we're here to help. And utilizing our graduating seniors reception, collecting that data about where students are going after they graduate. Although many students do stay in the same region they went to school in, you know, people take jobs all over the country. So making sure we're sharing that data. So if students from Region 5, if some of them are getting jobs in Region 3, making sure to pass that info along to Region 3 and say, hey, these students are coming into your region, you know, here's the info so that they can capture them. So does that help?
Yes.
Recognizing the 2023 PDC chair, Mr. Hudson.
How you doing, Jonathan? Good. Excellent, excellent. Jonathan, you've had success as a regional chair and also success in your actual chapter in leadership and just increasing the mission. As you petition to get to this side of the membership chair, kind of coordinating things from what processes do you have in mind to actually see that they're able to be proactive in these I know as a PEB, as a reactive to the certain things. So, strategies that we use,
Yeah, so obviously, being is always a the conference communication is the current sharing is hard. So definitely taking those very like what conversations he's already had and just formulating a plan so that when I sit down with the leadership engagement, I have those questions ready to go and share that, you know, they're considering things that are important to us and our leaders. And also just taking the feedback that I got from our chapter leaders about what their concerns are, and, you know, proactively bringing those up to WHQ so that, you know, we can make sure we're all on the same page and focusing on those issues that are going to have the biggest impact.
Thank you.
All right, closing speakers list with a minute and 6 seconds remaining with the final question from the delegate from the Washington DC session.
So I just want to follow up on a previous question that was asked regarding engaged students and engaged into personal level. A lot of things you mentioned are very pragmatic things we've done for years. I joined NSBE almost 15 years ago, and we had GSR for engineers in here. There hasn't been a large uptick in terms of the percentage of special interest we had. So what I would like, if you can, maybe it's across the department thing when it comes to WHQ, program zone, but what new ideas can you bring to the table when it comes to really targeting our collegiate membership so that they are able to be inspired and have the resources to professional members of state graduate?
Yeah. So I think it's going to be definitely important to work closely with the council and the program zone. Because a lot of this is issue of communication. You know, people just not knowing what's out there, not understanding, you know, the full value of what we have to offer. So making sure that, you know, one, we're offering programs that are relevant to students who are about to graduate, and making sure that we're communicating the benefits to them. I mean, there's a lot of organizations out there that people can join, but we have to make sure that we communicate that value proposition of what makes NSBE special, and making sure that, you know, what we're offering aligns with, you know, what these potential members are looking for. And yeah, I mean, I'm open to all kinds of ideas. I mean, I'm sure there's things that haven't been thought of. But yeah, GSR is not enough. I think we do need to do more.
Time is expired. So let's thank our candidate for the National Professional Championship. Doing a little pass around with the iPhones there. Next, I'd like to invite our candidate for the National Professional Finance Chairperson, Johnny Tangle, to provide his 2-minute opening statement.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Johnny Tangle. I am the current NSBE Professionals Finance Chair. And a little bit about myself, I reside in Los Angeles, California, where I am the head of business development for a marketing and advertising agency by the name of Liquid Soul. And we specialize in film, TV, as well as corporate employer diversity, corporate DEI, as well as politics. We do a lot of campaigns for the agency, DCCC, CBC, as well as individual candidates that are running for office. What I've done in my role for the last 4 years is we have almost doubled the amount of money that we raise for our fund development, with our fund development and our professional development conference. But we also have put initiatives where we are putting emphasis on our special interest groups to really bring them to the forefront. A lot of times we see them spoken about in the general candidates. We see them talked about in general candidates, but it's really about, hey, how do these special interest groups support initiatives for those that are interested in those particular industries, as well as for our regional groups that they actually have support from a financial standpoint. I've talked to the special interest group directors and given them templates on how they can talk to partners so that the onus isn't completely upon myself. And then last year, for those who may not necessarily be aware, our fund development team at headquarters has lost 3 of their most senior positions, and they have not all been backfilled. So I have been working alongside with Jessica Sussin, who is senior manager in national partnerships, to really kind of help not only the NSBE professionals, but also NSBE as a whole with its fundraising and integration and talking with partners. So that is my 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. And I now open the floor for questions for 10-minute question period. We will start with the delegate from the DWP Professionals Chapter.
Thank you.
Okay. Hi, So you mentioned that you've been able to raise more money lately. I just wanted to know your fundamental beliefs on budgeting. So are you more of a, we have the budget, let's spend all of the money in our budget? Or we have a budget, but let's try and come in under to save some money for another time?
Very, very interesting. In my capacity, I'm more in the fundraising seat. The actual budget lies with the treasurer, and they're the stewards of the budget for the national chair. So in terms of budget, like last year, we raised over, for the professional development conference, I think we had $330,000, which is most that we've ever raised for that. But in the ability to be able to spend, NSBE had not collected on funds from national convention, so we had a cash flow problem. So that had me going out talking to partners like, yes, you can actually today. Because we literally needed the funds to actually put on the conference because we did not have cash flow. So in the sense of things like that, I would say it might be wise to actually be able to save some funds that may be needed in other areas. But then again, I said that how lies with the actual treasurer because they're the stewards of the budget.
Thank you.
Sorry, apologies. Recognizing the delegate from San Diego.
Hello, Johnny. So I will be asking this question to you, the treasurer-elect, and the chair-elect. Okay, here it is. If it is discovered that a chapter member, such as a treasurer, a chair, or any officer with access to money, has embezzled or misappropriated funds, or paid board members to sit on the board, how in your capacity as finance chair will you assist and support the chapter in recovering the money and penalizing the member that has committed the act?
And this is on what levels? Chapter level?
Chapter.
Let me think. I think on the chapter level, for the NSBE professionals, they operate independently of NSBE. They have a sub-agreement under the nonprofit status. But I can say that if that did happen, and they reach out to me. Procedures, but part of those things is actually involving law enforcement in that regard, and really seeing, okay, let's look at the chapter processes for how they actually handle money. They should have actually training from the treasurer in order how to manage the funds from that chapter. But in the sense of just being able to provide support, I can just offer support from a corporate standpoint. Because if it happens from a corporate standpoint, you're definitely getting law enforcement involved. And then you're going to go through the due diligence of investigation. And then you're going to actually set parameters to protect yourself in case of actually recovering funds. It can be kind of hard. I think it's just really about what that situation entails and what are the steps that we can do to recover those funds.
Okay. Recognizing the delegate from Northeast Ohio for the question.
Hello, Deanna Davis again, President of Northeast Ohio Professionals Chapter. My question is, you mentioned fundraising. What is your plan and program to help educate as well as assist chapters with fundraising efforts?
Yes, what I want to do with chapters, and it goes from myself then to regions to chapters, but I have no problem actually helping chapters directly. But a lot of times it's really about what goes into the process of fundraising. So I can actually write an actual strategic plan on actual fundraising, provide you with templates and things that you can utilize that when you are reaching out to a potential partner or sponsor, that you can deliver to them and let them know about what your opportunities are. One of the main things that I think chapters don't necessarily have is actual partnership decks or a partnership guide that shows the type of programming that you put on that a company may want to invest in. The number two thing is having data. How many people are in your chapter? How often are your meetings? Where do you meet? And what are your needs? You might have a partnership that is in kind where they provide you with a place to actually meet. That's a partnership. It's in kind, right? You might have where they provide you with giveaways. They may actually have where they're sponsoring a panel and you're bringing someone from their company to come and sit on the panel. You have to deliver their creative ways in order for that company to engage. And at this point in the game, since the pandemic has kind of shifted, they're no longer just giving money to people just because. They have to have a business time. And what we call that in the business world is a return on investment. So if there's a return on investment, such as, hey, you have a concentrated group of individuals that work in these particular industries, then that's what you will lean towards. But I can provide you with those things, and I'll be working with the regions to actually be able to get that information out to you.
Perfect, thank you.
You're welcome.
Recognizing the delegate from Dallas Fort Worth. Wait, you have a Dallas Fort Worth? Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yes.
Garrison, Treasury for National Champion. First of all, congratulations on your great success. I had a question. Just what steps or what's your process on being able to raise that capital?
Well, there's two things. One is a shift in environment that I cannot obviously take credit for. After the pandemic, when budgets start to tighten, companies start to look for people who already have skill sets. Those just happen to be professionals. We just happen to be in the business of, hey, we also have a concentrated group of technical professionals that oftentimes are not found at other diverse organizations and or conferences. And so a lot of part of that is sitting down with companies and with the department that you're talking to, either that might be your diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging department, or that may be a TA department, or it may be, an engineering, management, or, an actual business owner within that company, right? And so finding out what their needs are. Like a lot of times when I sit in my first discovery call, and for those that in the room that may not know what a discovery call is, it's really when I sit down with the company for the very first time, and they're getting to know us as NSBE, and I'm getting to know them as a company. And I would really just sit there to listen to what they're looking to receive from NSBE, what their actual objectives are. And so I find the best way for us to deliver their objectives, but also for that to benefit NSBE. Sometimes that's with a partnership at one of our events, maybe also with a special interest group, or there's been times where companies come to me and they have a strong focus in a particular region. I'm not going to take that money on a national level. I'm going to say, hey, region 2, region 5, this company is interested in working with professionals of this particular background. Can we develop a partnership with them in order to be able to utilize these funds and deliver upon their ROI? Thank you.
Closing the line for those in line for questions. And I recognize the delegate from Washington, D.C.
We appreciate your responses so far. Last two questions were actually, those are what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
But just following up with that, so in terms of connecting chapters to potential sponsors and cultivating that relationship, that partnership, what are some things that we are currently doing in order to make sure that those things are established? It seems that just communication, there's a lot of that happen, in terms of conferences, BDCs, other events that happen on a national level, that aren't being seen from the chapter level. So I guess what are things being done now to make sure that connections are established so that the chapter can benefit from our future partnership?
Yes, and the partnership conversations that happen, I'm not the only person that actually has these conversations. A lot of the conversations also include WHP counterparts, as well as my collegiate counterpart, the National Finance Chair. And so when we actually are involved in these calls, we always explain to the partners, because there might be a demonstrated interest state, we want to come to the vision, or we also are in region 2 and 5, but we also have hubs in, in Dallas, Houston, and then we also have another hub in Raleigh, right? And so in this example, we're talking to that company and say, okay, well, based on, your interest, what is your budget, right? Because it comes down to budgetary items. And you may say, hey, well, we have 75,000, right? And they may not necessarily say they have all that for, one convention. They may say, I have that for all 2023. And for those of you who know, the next fiscal year is on the academic calendar. So it goes from August 1st to July 31st. But maybe in 2023, a lot of times they're operating on a company fiscal year, which is the entire year of 2023. We're able to create partnerships that will say, hey, you know what? You can spend $40,000 at convention to get an affiliate, but we can also split money up that goes to the chapters as well as to the region. And so I've done that for a few companies that have had a demonstrated interest in chapters. But I want to reiterate, in every conversation, we mentioned that you can talk to chapters. It does not impede on anything that you do nationally, and they can always give. And a lot of times, that's out of the local budget, out of the local office. So it doesn't necessarily interfere. From a chapter standpoint, I charge chapters to really look at their cities, look at the surrounding issues, and then also reach out to those companies that are in your area. There you might find potential new members and potential new sponsorships.
All right, the time has expired. However, with people in mind, I will entertain a motion to extend the time to the end of the current list of questions.
Second that motion.
I need the motion. So moved by the MVP. Is there a second? Second from David. Maybe you wish to speak to your motion. Yield? Seconder? Vote by consensus. Is there any objection? You object, no extension? Motion fails. Apologies. Okay. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Okay. The next candidate we are invited to the stage is the candidate for National Professionals Treasurer-elect, Mr. Alex Isaac. I invite you to come up and give your 2-minute opening statement.
Did you ever get the password?
She said she can't hear.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Which is
My name is Alex Isaac. I'm seeking your vote to be the treasurer. 4 years ago, I'm standing. You gave me your vote. I cannot ask you for it. Why? Because when I was in the position, I was able to establish a process for promotion for over the region governance and the financial, not only the policy, but only the budget to get the chapter to manage their budget. I'm glad to finish that mission, to establish the process, to collaborate with all the board members, and to structure the process to deliver to professional members. If I get elected, I will empower all the regional treasurers to understand the process and they can deliver to the treasurer chapter. Thank you.
What did she say?
Okay, as this is a position for a eventual officer, the question and answer period for treasurer will be a 20-minute question and answer period. So I will open the floor for questions for our candidate for treasurer. We'll start with the PEB professionals delegate.
Thank you. So I'll ask you the same question that I asked Shawnee. What's your fundamental position on budget? So do you believe fundamentally that if you have the money in the budget, you should spend all of that money, or you should reserve some of that money or hold back some of that money?
My thought is always reserve some portion of the money, not spend all of it, because we need to be fiscal responsible to protect the organization. It's not because this year we have a good budget, we need to spend. If we let the lesson from COVID, the organization pay for 200 during the COVID. That means if we can have some reserve, we can save, we will be maybe import. I believe we always to be on the budget to receive some fund for future.
Questions for the chairperson elect? Chairman Edge.
Yeah, like I had a question, related. Bring in revenue to support expenditures, but with all the robustness of our tools. So can you talk about how you and champion collaborate to bring in tools to direct revenue to the budget? For example, if you host a webinar, right, and want to charge for your revenue, or you want to host a training, what are your strategies for that?
One, I will do an assessment with the government finance to present the issue to them to see what is the best way we can. What are the tools we can utilize for us as a professional to track our revenue? Yes, we receive the monthly financial every 15th of the month, but it's not enough. I will present the issue to them and I will analyze what is the best tool we can use for us to track the revenue. Sometimes we might have a commitment to a company, we give the company inside the commission form. Sometimes we not give the company what it took time for us to receive the money. That is the way I will see if I can improve that process with the government finance and partner with NSBE treasurer. I will sit on that. Do I answer your question?
Recognize the delegate from San Diego.
Hello. I'm going to ask the same question as the finance chair. It's within the interest of our chapter. So here it goes. If it is discovered that a chapter board member, such as the chair, treasurer, or any other officer with access to money has embezzled or misappropriated money, how will the national treasurer assist or support a chapter in recovering the money and penalizing the member?
The first one I will ask the chapter, the dialogue, what the dialogue say. The second, I will call a meeting with those three entities about the issue before we escalate to the SEC. Because as a treasurer, I don't want to authority to call the law enforcement because that is not the organization. Then I will have to go to the SEC for the regulation to step up on the situation.
Thank you.
The delegate from Music City.
I'm Alex David Lanier, Music City's professional delegate. So I'm going to relay a question from our chapter. So give me a second, and if I can, I will also record your answer so I can submit that. Okay. All right. So given the uncertainty of today's economic and the limitations of DEI efforts across public and private sectors, NSBE has a risk of corporate partners not renewing or at smaller tiers, or renewing at smaller tiers, excuse me. How is NSBE diversifying its fund base to support NSBE programs?
That's the next question. NSBE identified the fund is based on the BCA sponsor. That is the way the NSBE raise money based on
CEO active. That is the main reason for it. We need to stream another way to get some revenue without those entities. If one day they decide to say they're not we need to find to analyze another way to respond. That's why I become head as a professional. That will be my goal to study what is the other way we can get funded without those PCA and what is the benefit for us to go out with for this.
Thank you. Recognizing the professional secretary for questions.
Good afternoon. So my question is, what is your philosophy and experience establishing and having cross-collaborative relationships with different cross zones on the PEB, NEB, and WHP? And regional.
2020, 2021, when I was a treasurer, I set it on the EU also. The finance zone is there to support them on any entity, any activity they plan to do. And I set it on to make them understand what the financial zone means and what is the budget mean for the organization. I educate them how we can collaborate and what is our structure and the process. That is my thought. If I get elected, I will bring back to the way finance zone can collaborate with others and trickle down to the region. Do I answer your question?
Recognizing the professional development conference chairperson.
Alex, how you doing, man? I want to give an opportunity, you mentioned in the beginning of the platform, doing this position the second time around, there's certain things you want to establish. If you could just share with us one point that you have from your experience previously in the role, an area that you continue to see that they need more influence or more of your support and attention. If you could maybe elaborate on just one of those things that you plan to see to fruition for the second time around.
If I will choose one, I would choose the professional development. We need more support and we need us to establish a better way to go. I was the treasurer for the last PDC Miami. It's because of our strategy and our process. That's why we were able to raise 250 plus K. I would like to work more with our conference chair entity in the professional way to establish a better relationship and to give them all the tools they need. They can succeed on their position to make a great conference for the future.
Thank you, sir. Recognizing the delegate from San Diego.
All right, I got a question for you. Okay, so if a local chapter holds an event, for example, a gala, and the corporation committed to sponsor the event, but did not give the chapter the money, instead they gave it to national headquarters, how would you as a treasurer work with national headquarters in making sure that chapter gets the money back to the chapter that the corporation was supposed to give to the chapter?
That is a nice question. That happened when I was a treasurer. I was able to help the chapter retrieve the money back. I will use the same tools. Make sure the chapter has a bank account and make sure the fund, the WH to receive the fund is available, the fund is available. We have the process to submit the paperwork to transfer the fund to the chapter. I will utilize the same way.
Thank you.
Regents' Professional PCI Chair, Mr. Missouri.
Thank you. So you earlier alluded to seeking re-election to complete the job. Could you share your personal overall effectiveness based on how you've evaluated your progress to this point? So you said you're seeking re-election to complete the job.
Yes.
Could you speak to your overall effectiveness to this point? Why do you believe you have been effective and we should re-elect you to the next term?
I was treasurer during the pandemic. At that time, NSBE cut all entity budget in the half. My goal was to reduce the expense of the NSBE professional. By that time, I left with double or within. Our budget was 350K. When I left with 600 plus K. And I think I can show the same way to repeat the way we optimize our expense, the way we're able to support all the cross region, their programming effort. And I think that is my success. I can repeat it again. That's why I'm seeking in return for that position.
Chair Lynch.
Yes, national board member for a nonprofit, right? Finance training, industry best practice training is critical. In addition to understanding, right, as the business management processes, can you talk about how you approach training yourself to be equipped in the position, and what tools and measures you use to ensure, right, leaders at all levels also have the knowledge that they need to do their role successfully?
One, the finance of the financial policy. I will make sure everyone on the executive board understands the financial policy and sharing, training them on what is the budget, what is the revenue, and allocate it to be transparent and train them and educate them what are the NSBE operated. That is my. I will do some research to see what is the best. You already know what the process stuff and to see if it's something we can incorporate inside the organization.
Chair Brown.
Hello, Alex. So we talked a little bit about but we talked about the training and the technical side. What is the budget steward? As for us come in, you'll have to originally tell somebody no on something or give somebody, a non-favorable response. Talk me through how you respond or how you deliver that news such that you are, I guess, relationally proactive in addressing concerns and issues.
Sometimes the diagnosis, you are able to give it, everybody get the diagnosis, receive it on their own way, or I can say, I will let all this, the stakeholders know based on what I make my decision and why I say it. I always tell you the reason, and if we can work on something together to establish what we try to accomplish, we will work it and we will go from there. Do I answer your question?
Yep. Mr. Delegate, please identify yourself and the chapter you represent.
Hello, my name is Ruben. I'm with Region 4 Northeast Ohio Professionals. So my question is, have you given thought to the possibility of a policy or some kind of process to help local professional chapters in terms of raising money? So a lot of time the company will sponsor it, people will get members, and is there a way for some of that money, especially if we have a local presence, for that money presence to the local chapter, have you given thought to, you know, any ways of making that a possibility or potentially what that might look like if, you know, that you know, came up as something that, you know, people were interested in chapters, local professional chapters are interested in?
You as national board can have local chapter on the board and support them.
So more than just supporting them and doing that and themselves actually provide some of those funds themselves moving down to the professional chapters. Is that a possibility?
I was the regional board chair for a couple of years before. I know the struggle of the chapters in my region. Sometimes it's a little difficult for the region to support the chapter, but sometimes it's based on the revenue. We don't have them every chapter to do membership campaign and sponsor it for them. That is something can happen. Or if the region is struggling with the project, or they can give you some tools how to do fundraising, we can share some knowledge with you how to do those types of stuff. That is the way we can implement it. All right. Thank you.
Mr. Delegate, please identify yourself and the chapter you represent.
Right, I'm Mr. Bill Jordan, delegate and president from the NSBE Los Angeles Professionals Chapter. All right, Alex, I looked at your leadership resume and I saw numerous years of regional and national experience. So my question is simple. What is your why in NSBE?
I grew up in Haiti, but I went to the US. When I was growing up, I was in the Boy Scout. That is community activity, that is something that's been on me, it's been my leadership. When I come back to the US, when I went to university, the first thing, the wisdom of my chapter showed in my class talking about the dance. Because I said there was only the black that made me fall in love with NSBE. And since then, I'm involved in NSBE for all my career. Because NSBE did a lot for me and it gave me visibility. That's why I'm still in NSBE. And I'm a lifetime member.
Thank you.
All right, the line is complete, and with under 2 minutes left on this the question and answer, I will take the lead for the final question. And it's this. My experience in PE leadership has taught me that a lot of people like to do things certain ways that may not always be kosher in the way that you identify the policy to be handled. And I think there's a certain depth of how you address that you have to learn. And I sense from my working with you that you have to adjust your style, but there become points at which the unwillingness to yield becomes to the point of flagrant. My question is, tell us your approach to how you handle the repeated situations of you're trying to control them to do things in a way that will be compliant with policy, but they simply refuse to do so.
One is something like that happened. I will call the person. I will have a talk with that person to say, yes, that is not our process. That is not our policy. But I see the program trying to implement its benefit. The chair vision, let's work in the middle to see how we can make it happen. It's always let the person know where they make the mistake and how can we correct it. That is the way we want to go forward with the professional.
All right. Let's Now we will have the National Professional Church to give her opening statement. That is Taylor Jacobs.
All
Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Jacobs.
Now I'm running for the Professionals Executive Board Chair-elect position. For the last 4 years, I've had the opportunity to serve on the Region 6 board. In the last 2 years, I've served as chair. Given that I'm elected into this position, I would like to focus on membership engagement, and the brand of NSBE professionals. I plan to do this by focusing on three key areas: our performance, our image, and our exposure. We have a number of programs and initiatives within the NSBE professionals, and it's my goal to track the data that we have. What are the impacts of these programs and initiatives? Our members, our stakeholders, as well as the demographics that we are targeting. In terms of our image, I would like to look at our image within the organization as well as externally. We can do this by tracking data, but I would really like to have roundtables and interviews with some of our key stakeholders, including some of the collegiate students, our current members, leaders within the organization, as well as Black engineers that are not involved with it. And finally, our exposure. Who are we exposing ourselves to in terms of organizations and companies, as well as the programs and initiatives that we do have? Are we exposing ourselves to the current demographic that we're targeting? Focusing on these three areas are the key areas, are the main points that I would like to focus on the next 2 years. So I'm looking forward to it, and hope you vote for me for the PEB chair-elect position.
All right, so hope you're comfortable staying, because we have a 30-minute question and answer period for the candidate for professional chair-elect. We will start with the delegate from the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power Professionals Chapter.
Thank you. Hi, Taylor. So first, just want to thank you for the past 2 years as chair. Region 6, you've really been a great help for us here. And I've noticed that there have been a lot of programs and initiatives when you have with membership engagement and with just reach out for. So I just want to know how you plan to expand that. So I just want to know how you plan to expand that nationally.
So over the last 2 years, I've come out of the membership zone and started as the membership chair in Region 6. But serving in that position, we really had to
Making sure our chapters were strong. So one thing that we did implement on a regional level is making sure that every leader on our regional board was.
So one thing that we did implement,
those that have been on the board
level, resident with the head of at least maybe 2 chapters. This really helped with solidifying the foundation of our chapters. Our chapters had a single point of contact. Whatever they needed, anything they had somebody that they could talk to. It also helped with the flow of information. Anything that we wanted to see regionally or flow of at a national level, we were able to have buy-in directly from our chapter by forming those relationships. And for those that have been on our board for numerous years, they stay connected to the same chapter, forming that relationship year to year. And that's really helped our chapters stay active within the organization, as well as coming up to us from our chapters back to those relationships here. And that's really the leaders.
You know, from San Diego. Delegate from San Diego.
Like I took it to the second part of my second question. First one. First, the hard question. If it is discovered that a chapter board member, chair, access to any other officer, access to money, has an national chair, how does the national chair assist or support chapter penalizing the money penalizing the
Yes, I think that this is something that would be important to have one-on-one conversations on that as well as making sure we bring as well as the event that this has occurred. It was mentioned before, getting any laws and worst case scenario, if we do have to get law enforcement involved in that. But the first thing that we would need to do is conduct interviews what has happened and how did we get what has happened and how did we get here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Delegate for Washington, D.C. Delegate for Washington, D.C.
Could you really talk about your perspective of the current image of this profession? What else you would like to either improve or to add on to?
That's a great question. That's a great question. I think that we do amazing things as an. I think that sometimes it's just not broadcasted. Sometimes it's just not broadcasted in a way that everyone has been mentioned before. So for instance, there has been mentioned before that some people weren't familiar with this in corporate world, got to their corporate world. I do think the image of the NSBE professionals, I do think the image of the NSBE professionals is very good in terms of the work that it is. We just need to make sure that it is getting to present it in a way that is going to come on. Some of us join because we know how NSBE has done for us in college. We want to continue to grow in that career, right? But when we look at the numbers, we need to see how many people have graduated from NSBE versus how many professionals have, as well as Black engineers who were in NSBE that are not currently here as professionals and why graduated. So when I talk about the image, that we're doing great programming. We just need to make sure that we're telling the story as makes people want to become professionals and why it's that, right? So when we talk about the image, I do think that we're doing that.
How you doing, Taylor? David Lanier, USC professional delegate. And what I would like to do is read the question by both Tyler and record here Okay, so building the NSBE business administration prioritize minority firms that can scale and become major corporate partners with NSBE.
I'm sorry, could you answer that question? Repeat the question one more time.
So it's building, is it building something you would, your administration support to support the development of minority firms so that they can scale and become major corporate partners?
That's a great question. So we have seen a lot of success. That's a great question. So we have seen a lot of success out of the leadership incubator, the administration of business incubator, and the administration, I think it would be very imperative to have important. When I talk about the performance aspect, right? When I talk about the performance aspect, what are the impacts that we're looking to get out of that, and how are we targeting as well? And so we need a little bit more information. But I think that that's something that one thing that I'm very big on. One thing that I'm very big on is that's one thing that we've done. That's something that we've done in Region 6 over the last 2 years is making sure we're getting the inputs of our members to prioritize priority initiatives.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, the delegate from Chicago. Delegate from Chicago.
Well, Taylor. Can you speak to your experience with data collection processes after talk about how you can drive, how to measure.
That's a good question. In terms of data collection, I believe Arthur spoke to it during the general session in terms of being able to track those who have graduated with their degrees, right, that were NSBE junior members. That's just one thing that we've been able to track, as well as the NSBE leadership incubator, we were able to pull stats behind that. So there are some processes in place, but I do believe there's room for improvement in terms of when we're having events, when our chapters are having events, do we have a way for them to submit feedback on the different funders or how much money was raised, who was in attendance, right? What were the hours taken in order to do this event? So that if we want to do things that are successful, we have the data that can implement. In terms of the data programs, in terms of the programs and things, for instance, with the web leadership, for instance, with the English series, or with the PNP series, we're able to see based on their profile they're in, what industry they're in, what industry they're in, how to utilize that data to see, we put on this thing, it's impacted this demographic, targeting that group, and using that data for that. That's how I see that. That's how I see that we get to utilize data to really tell a story of what the programs and initiatives that we're doing.
Regarding KPIs, could you speak out of it? I understand what questions are only allowed. Return to the line to ask.
So it was connected to that same question?
It's and I would ask whether the delegate of Washington DC is willing to yield to the next delegate that has not asked a question.
Sure.
Madam Delegate, please identify yourself for the chapter you represent.
I am the membership chair of the Denver Professionals. And actually, the delegate from Chicago, pretty much took my questions on the as far as data tracking, which we spoke about in your speech, how do you plan on reporting upon that and giving that feedback to chapters?
That's a great question. So one thing that I have been thinking about is getting into this position. So one thing that I have been thinking is about data, it's another to tell the story. And we talked about ways to have data, it's another to tell the national, regional, chapter, communication, maybe national, regional, chapter, given out in a way that can be received. Not in a way that can be received. As this data not going to be useful if we have this data. One way that I pursue that is by working on membership zone, our membership zone, working with our regional leaders and chapter information so that the information is flowed down so that we should have where we are as professionals, where we are as professionals.
Carrie. Carrie Jordan, Central Florida. If you were to give an element, regarding the value of being a NSBE professional, not only for reasons, but for professionals.
That's a great question. The NSBE professionals is a one-stop shopping for your network, for your career, but really want to develop it while also giving back to our communities and in the next generation of interns that come. That's really the whole point of our professional organization, as well as working with our chapters in our local communities. Right? So that's what I really have enjoyed about as professionals. It's the mission aspect. You can connect with so many different people across different industries, learn different topics, and kind of have our view on the possibilities that are out there at any level. And as well as if you are seasoned, you may have gaps in between what is happening in non-technical professionals as well. And you can utilize that data that we have with YTPC, what are non-technical professionals? How do we recruit people? How do we retain individuals? So NSBE is, we can utilize all of that data that we have here already within a professional organization.
As a leader about your region country, understand that you have a goal. Understand that you have a goal around the current strategic planning and areas of opportunity. We appreciate that with accurate results.
Good question.
That's a great question.
Yes, serving as a regional professional, I understand how important that membership data is, as well as getting that data to our chapter. So one thing that we have had some technical difficulties with this transition of the website and everything. As we're past that, we really need to see, obviously, we want to have a dashboard for them to utilize and see, okay, what happens we have, making sure that we're trying to office. But is there other data that we're looking to see as well, and working with our chapter leaders to in terms of getting that information, I know that we have possibilities are able to see residents are able to see their list. But we want to make sure that we're able to get data to them in a timely manner. Thank you.
Julius. Hi, Tyler. My question is, last night we had a chance to hear Dr. Brown's receiving platform, and he expressed, and his goal expressed how his goal. He shared with us some visions that you put together, staff
Chairman Cross, have you thought of sharing, or responsible sharing some of the responsibilities of those is simply as you, I guess I should say, have you thought that?
That's a great question. And just to give some background, even before I had communication, I had numerous conversations about his vision, about his vision. And given that I am elected into this term, it is going to be very important for towns and reports. And if I am elected, be the board manager, so that we as a operate cohesively in order to see his vision through. In terms of working together, there's a good thing that towns and my vision. There's things that I would alignment, but there's things that I wish to overcome, so that there's things as well, so that there's things that over the next 2 to 3 years that we want to make sure that the goals we want to make sure that the goals that we have been done together, and that's something that luckily towns and have conversations about and have a plan to implement them as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Madam Secretary, sir. Madam Secretary, sir.
Hi, Taylor. My question is, how would you describe your evolution in information opportunities, since being the professional chair?
That's a great question. My leadership style is very much about the teams that empower their best selves to bring their best life. And so that's one thing we've seen in Region 6. We've had the opportunity, we have had troubles in this leadership, just having leaders within the organization. And we've seen in Region 6 that we've had people come back as well as new members want to come join regional boards. And that comes from being able to empower them. We trust with the goals that they set for themselves that are in alignment with national and regional initiatives. So that's how my evolution has become as a leader. And then given that I'm elected into having leaders of our organization, and it'll be important with the power. So that's how my evolution position is going to be the goals that they set out for goals that they set out in the vision. One fun fact about me, I am also a certified life coach, and that will come into play as well in terms of my communication style. I'm very much a communication style. I'm very much a the issues that you have any concerns, concerns. I'm going to make sure that when we operate as a community, and if there are any issues, we can tackle them early through effective communication.
Now we took the delegate from the chapter, Washington, D.C.
Thank you, Taylor, for all your appreciation so far, and I appreciate you sharing your vision. So with that said, NSBE is, NSBE is super organization here, is probably the premier organization that is excellence, student boundaries. Do you envision that NSBE professionals become the premier organization for Black professionals with and if so, how can we go there in terms of since we have the largest demographic membership, age, how can we that level where we're not just an organization, but we are developing organizations for professionals?
That's an excellent question, and a fully valid one as well. I absolutely do see that. The one thing that I do think is going to be the key driving performance piece. We're able to have one page or magazine say, this is what we're doing as a professional. This is the impacts of that, and being able to put that out there. That really drive where we're striving to go. And that comes from being able to work with all of the buy-in have to build this mission. For instance, our program chair, our finance, everyone has a buy-in into being able to do that. I really think the driving key to that is the driving sure that key to that is the exposure piece, making sure that they know what exposure piece is that out. So that
the delegate from Chicago.
So what would you say would be
we got five challenges, the top five challenges for NSBE professionals. In particular, NSBE professionals.
That's a great question. That's a great question. Okay. From speaking with, our professional chapter, one thing that we sometimes, and this is typically sometimes we have people that are in transit region 6. We have people that are sure that trans is across the nation. So sometimes we have people that is across the nation. So sometimes we have people that make leadership aspects. So we're inviting people back to the leadership aspect. So we're inviting people back to that. We have a lot of shutdowns to want to do. They say, oh, I don't have the lunch to join. Okay, well, what is that time really? I don't want the time to be transparent about what the opportunity is. Okay, well, what is that time really look like? And being transparent with the chapters, making sure that we may have lots of members to make sure that we have to leadership to sustain our chapters. I think that's one of the key things that we would have to do. And that's our 5.
Just top of mind.
So for my second one, also the development, and I think that we could do, there's room for improvement in having our chapters work in a collaborative aspect. One thing that we have done in Region 6 is our chapter presidents, during our chapter presidents, the one of our traditions, we've seen that our chapters actually regional leadership. We've seen that our chapters have started to have much more success together and have. So we're trying to see that. Yes, it's great to operate. Yes, it's great to operate with vicinity. Vicinity, can you do more together? Can you have more? And finally, just the development. And finally, just have development aspect. We have leadership conference as well to develop our chapter as well to develop our chapter leaders and everything, but making sure that they have to sustain our chapter. It's great to have our chapters, but we want to make sure that they have the foundation to continue to succeed. It's great to not just turn our chapters, but we want to make sure that they have people trying to get started up.
Delegate from San Diego. Delegate.
Hey Taylor. I'm gonna go a little off. On my tablet, anything. So the question on there is how to ask that. So my question is, where in your vision would you see the professional? Where in your vision would you see in the professional of the collegiate senators? So where we govern ourselves, not where we govern collegiate senators, not government. So collegiate senators govern.
No, I think it's a good question. I think that we have to look at ways to work, more yards in the organization, and that's where we are. But in terms of the professionals buy-in, we have to look at how we can put that with our, collegiate representatives and members. So for instance, for our regional, we have representatives and as well as the region. So for instance, for our regional boards, we have the professional counterparts as well as, I know that you all in San Diego work in 60 board, and we made sure to throughout this year that when we do have things that we want to bring into the San Diego together. I know that you all, it's something that we are in collaboration professionals, it's something we're kind of have to go from that aspect, right? And we're kind of have to go from that aspect.
I recognize the delegate from Northeast Ohio. I recognize the delegate from Northeast Ohio.
Well, again, Deanna Davis, Northeast Ohio. Deanna Davis, Northeast Ohio. My question is, you mentioned programming. Can you elaborate on programming? Does that include programming? Does that hire encouragements or programming?
Sorry, I didn't get the last part. Does that include higher learning programming? So when I speak of programming, we do have some already things that when I was speaking to before with in terms of the performance of these programs. A number of our chapters do performance of these programs on a national level. And I really want to take a look at the data and the impacts of these specific programs. So for instance, I mentioned before that we're doing the PMP series at a regional level in partnership with 8 of our professional chapters in the process improvement center, right? So when I ask for the performance aspects, when this series is over, we can look at that data to see who was impacted by that. What did these people get out of that? We had a survey and everything like that, but also looking at the demographic of the members, where they're from, what chapters are they representing, right? So when I'm south into the programming, I want to make sure that we're looking at the performance and the impacts of these programs.
And so what about higher learning?
Can you elaborate?
So anyone interested in master's degrees and PhDs?
Oh, sure. That's a good question. So I do think that there is going to have, more programs centered around advanced degrees, right? For me, myself, I did opt to get an advanced degree, my master's through my company. So I do think that there is great programming in terms of the benefits of getting an advanced degree, as well as the opportunity to utilize resources so that you may have to take out additional loans or what resources there are to get that advanced degree. I know that I've had some people that went, further on and were able to have their education funded. Some people have gone through, and had it through their company. But what were the impacts of them getting that degree? For me personally, I was able to go into a new rotational opportunity at my job because I had the advanced degree, right? So again, going back to the impacts of why we do what we do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The delegate from Charleston.
Ms. Davis, how are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Since 2020, DEI has become important for big organizations. We understand that all support may not be positive, and there may potentially be organizations that may want to support us financially that are not in line with our core values. How would you go about identifying partnerships that may not be in line with our overall vision, and give an example of how you would respectfully influence those you are leading to say no, thank you, respectfully?
That's a great question. And I think this is a question that comes into the collaboration aspect, right? We just heard from Johnny about being finance chair and working with respective companies to have money come into the professionals organization. And when he's doing those discover calls and everything, what is the organization looking for from NSBE professionals, as well as what is their performance, what is their image when it comes to supporting DE&I efforts, right? So yes, companies may come to us in an effort saying, we want to work with NSBE, but it's also a relationship. Well, we also want to make sure that your image aligns, like you said, with the vision that we have. In terms of if it's not a great partnership, then I think that's just something that we can clearly, state and work through. If it's not a great partnership, why is it not a great partnership? If it may not align with the vision directly, is there room to coach? Is there room to say, maybe we have a partnership in terms of these are things that you may be able to implement in order to make your organization more cohesive, more in alignment, right? So I do think that anytime there are opportunities for sponsorships or partnerships with organizations, we have to look at it transparently in both ways.
How would you influence those you are leading?
Madam Delegate, I'll give you the single question obligation. So if you want to ask a question, you can stay in line, you can come back to me. If you want to give others an opportunity to ask their questions.
It was a part of the question.
Understood that there are all questions as we can call, and I will circle back. I recognize the 2022-2023 National Professionals Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. If successful, you will become chair of chair and then chair emeritus. As you think about the chair of chair roles, who do you see as your national counterparts within WHQ and the NEB? And in thinking about those counterparts, how do you collaborate, which you talked about a lot, to get a win for your team when they're competing priorities and disagreeing about priorities?
Thank you, Arthur, for the question. Now, I think that's great, and how I look to perform in terms of the collaboration with the WHQ and the NEB. We definitely need to make sure that from the beginning, when we have things and visions that we want to align with, we're speaking with them and bringing them along on the journey of executing these goals, right? When we have buy-in from all aspects, from all areas, I believe that it is a lot easier to get our initiatives and goals passed forward. In terms of being a representative for the professionals, it'll be on me to be able to speak up on behalf of the professionals. So making sure that, given that I am elected into this role, that I utilize my voice responsibly to speak up for the things that we want to see as professionals. I'm sorry, one more time? Well, I would obviously have to, for the NEB, I would have to operate with all of the zone leaders, but also everyone on the NEB, given that I'm chair, because I would still operate on the NEB in their group. And then as I'm chair-elect, I will also support Townsend in his meetings as well on the NEB. And in WHQ as well with their membership chair.
Sweet Thomas.
Hi, Taylor. Sweet Thomas, the Dallas Professional Chapter. We as an organization tend to focus on increasing the number of African Americans in staff, right? And even our Chairman Edge's presentation yesterday showed that although we're increasing the number graduating, our membership is not growing. And one of the reasons that I often hear is, well, I'm no longer working in engineering, and so no longer need to be in NSBE. How do you feel that NSBE professionals can impact the retention and the persistence of African Americans in engineering?
That's a great call out, and I have heard that as well from people that have made not practicing engineering per se, but have graduated from management position or entrepreneurship as well. But we still need them here within this. Even if you are an engineer by trade, you've seen what you have done with your career and with that degree is an important call out that we can still utilize here within the organization. So I do challenge people that even if you are not practicing engineering, in that capacity as a professional, you could still be a professional member because by trade you are an engineer and are still utilizing those skills in whatever career path you have been chosen.
And with less than a minute and a half remaining, this will be final questions. So please state your name and your chapter and then go on with your question.
Hello, everyone. My name is Music Treasure. Hi, Taylor. So you said that you're the board manager. Can you speak a little bit about your experience as 36 years, some of your greatest successes and challenges from your first term to 36 years to your second term?
That's a good question. So for my first year as chair, I was actually elected as chair-elect, but about a week later, I had to assume the position as chair. So having to pivot into that role so rapidly, it was a bit of a learning curve. But luckily, with the team, I was able to utilize that role and expand it. Going into that, we had things already set out for the year that we wanted to accomplish. And it was my job in order to assume that position. It was my job to make sure that when I assumed that position, that we are still operating cohesively with our chapters, with our members, and there was not a gap. Going into my second year, we were able to expand on that goal. We were able to reactivate 2 of our chapters. We were able to collaborate more. We had a plan to have more representatives from other chapters, because a lot of us are based in LA. We wanted more representatives from our chapters to come and join the regional board. We had people from Denver come up. This year we've had people from San Francisco come and join our regional board as well. So we want to make sure that it's my job to operate, the board and make sure that we are executing the vision, but our board really empowers our team and our chapters and our members to also do that as well. So it's really, to me, about the empowerment of everyone that we work together to execute the vision.
And with that, let's thank and congratulate Taylor. And that will end our session today. A reminder to delegates who will receive your ballots by email. And apologies, my intention was to give it to you beforehand. we're basically ready. I just need those technical glitches resolved. Just pay attention to updates on ballots in the group meeting that I set up for each of us. You are currently not in the group meeting. Please see me here so I can make sure that I've got you set up with the right phone number in order to make sure that you stay up to speed on updates. Also, as previously mentioned in the group meeting, that is a space that if you want to engage or discuss the bill is there for thoughts and feedback amongst yourselves, you can do so. Also keep in mind that the expectation of delegates is that you represent your chapter. So take the information you have acquired here in this Q&A as well as throughout the convention as you consider who you will vote for into these positions. And then ultimately make that determination with your chapter's interests in mind and with your chapter's wishes in mind. With that, is there a request from a member of the delegates? It will ultimately be dependent on how quickly the issue can be resolved. It'll be my expectation that we try to give you at least 20 hours time to be able to submit your ballot. So basically what I'm saying to you is we're still struggling to get the ballot out at 7 p.m. We'll likely go to extend it. But we do have kind of this hard time to be able to take the results and then share them with the body at the Gold Torch Awards on Saturday evening. So we have a lot to meet there. But I am sensitive to making sure that you have adequate time to actually go into the system, make your submissions, make sure that you reliably submitted your vote. There's no technical glitches or issues from that point of view that we can't go back and resolve so you can actually capture it. Okay. Any other questions from a member of the House of Delegates? I will now entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. Is there a second? Okay. Is there any objection? Meeting adjourned at 2:56 Central Time on the 24th of March. Thank you all.